Well, we could have been outside here. I was worried about being inside, and we could have definitely been outside. Wouldn't have been any problem at all. So.
All right, awesome. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for coming on down to RITE Richmond's inaugural press conference. Thank you for joining us. My name is Ramesh Ranjan. I'm the Communications Director for RITE Richmond. And just to let you know, our brand new website is up right now at www.riterichmond.ca. Today marks the beginning of a new civic group here in Richmond, a civic group that is headed into the 2014 municipal elections, dedicated to bringing meaningful, positive change to Richmond. Previously known as RITE, today is the beginning of RITE Richmond. RITE Richmond is proud to announce our candidates for Richmond City Council and the Board of Education for the 2014 municipal elections. We're also here to announce the first 5 planks in our game-changing platform that confirms our commitment to bring change to Richmond. First, our candidates. For Richmond City Council, Carol Day and Michael Wolf. And our candidates for School Trustee, Rod Belitza, Norm Goldstein, and Michael Starchuk. These 5 people embody what it means to fight for ordinary working Richmondites, because each and every one of them have been doing it for their entire respective lives. Carol Day is a business owner of 37 years and a former school board trustee. She previously ran for city council in 2005 and 2011. She's the chair of Vapor and has been a community activist for over 2 decades. Michael Wolf is a public school educator and a lifelong Richmond resident. He is a passionate and vigorous defender of green space in Richmond. He currently serves on the Richmond Health Advisory Committee. This isn't the first time the Day Wolf RITE Richmond City Council team has worked together. Both served as executives on the Garden City Lands Conservation Society, and for 7 years they battled the special interests and successfully saved the Garden City lands. Now they're taking another step to bring change to Richmond City Council. In the first 2 planks of RITE Richmond's election platform, the Day Wolf team will encourage healthy business startups through RITE Richmond's Healthy Business Plan. They will also fight to protect Richmond's neighborhoods through RITE Richmond's Development Action Plan, the second plank on our election platform. But City Council isn't the only place where RITE Richmond will enact change. Richmond's Board of Education needs new leadership. Rod Belitza, Norm Goldstein, and Michael Starchuk will advocate for programming choice for students, the third plank in the RITE Richmond election platform. A student's education is better enriched when they have choice in the kinds of programs they can participate in. At the forefront of this issue has been Norm Goldstein, who is seeking a second term as school trustee. The RITE Richmond trustee team will also take further leadership in the fight against child poverty, an issue that Rod Belitza has taken leadership on. Child poverty rates are rapidly rising in the city, and child poverty itself has a profound impact on a student's ability to learn. Seeking his third term as school trustee, Rod will continue to advocate for measures against child poverty. With the central message of our RITE Richmond trustee team being the advocacy of building better people through providing students with a quality education, Michael Starchuk has dedicated his life to exactly that. He works with kids on a daily basis as the senior program manager for Tomorrow's Top Kids Child Care Society, an out-of-school care organization in Richmond. As the eldest of 5 boys, Michael Starchuk has lived in his entire life in Richmond and wants young people in Richmond to reach and exceed their potential. And now for the 5th plank of our election platform, I'll turn it over to Carol Day.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Ramesh. Mr. Ramesh Ranjan, thank you so much for all your kind words. Really appreciate it. You know, with young people like this coming into politics and supporting teams like RITE Richmond, it's just an honor to work with him. And I know that we're going to have an exciting 2014 election because of young people like Ramesh. So thank you very much. So our motto, it's time for change. We mean every word of that. And we're here to make that happen. Formerly RITE, we evolved into this new party because we wanted to see the kind of change that we haven't seen in Richmond City ever. So we're going to reform the electoral process. How are we going to do that? We're going to do that, first of all, by being the very first party in Richmond with a policy of 100% transparency. We will make available to the voter during the election our financial contributions. in real time. In fact, today, you can go on the website. Gone are the days of waiting till 2015 to learn who you vote for. We challenge the other candidates to change their ways. We challenge them to release to the public their financial disclosures during the election and in advance of the election. We will show voters how the money train works and provide campaign information to the voter to inform the public, because we don't believe and have never believed since the beginning of accepting large donations. We believe in representing all of the citizens of Richmond and not just special interest groups. So what we're asking the public to do is to come to our grassroots events, which we're going to have many, and get to know us and let's talk. Why should you vote for RITE Richmond? Because our team is already on the job. We have created plans such as the Development Action Plan, the Campaign Disclosure Reform Plan, and the Healthy Business Plan, and we'll be releasing other plans as the election proceeds. So now, let's hear from some of our fellow candidates. I'd like to introduce Mr. Michael Wolf. It's an honor to have you as a candidate, Michael. I thank you so much, and it would be an honor to serve with you on council. Would you like to say a few words?
Opportunity and everyone for making their way out here today. I've been very involved in local politics. I've run 9 times at the local level. So I've covered the spectrum of being involved and knowing issues. And now is the time I really want to be part of that change. And I couldn't be with a stronger, more united party that acts as one, to have met these people in the action, in the field, and to now have come this far, where we have policies that are not just the statements, rhetoric that we hear from other parties, but it's actual plans that are made in Richmond that will work and be part of the solutions when you engage and actually provide the genuine consultation with the people. So this is the time for us, and I couldn't be again more happy to kick off this campaign here today at actually the same site where I graduated high school from, not more than 14 years ago.
All right. Well, thank you very much. Those are excellent words. Rod, would you want to come a little closer here?
Thank you very much.
Yeah, please do.
Good morning. I'm Rod Belisa, and I've been a trustee since 2008. 6 years experience in the Board of Education. The reason why I'm running for re-election is because I'd like to continue my mission to make sure that, or to ensure that the Richmond Board of Education continue to provide quality education for all our children. And I believe in enabling our children's individual potential by providing them the best public quality education in the province. And we can achieve this without advocating for stable and adequate funding. We need, because that underfunding of public education has created a lot of problems in our public education. You can see the problem going on at the moment. But with adequate funding in our education, we will be able to support the needs of our regular and special needs students. We will be able to help our teachers for the resources for funding their teaching and professional development. And I also believe on the green kind of inclusive and collaborative sports school environment. And we need to advocate for all this engagement in terms of our community and our stakeholders, and even to the extent of doing public political actions to achieve our objectives in our public education system to meet the needs of the students and the staff in our school district.
Thank you, Rod. Excellent. And in alphabetical order, Mr. Dr. Goldstein, Norm Goldstein, is a city trustee as well, and has years of experience in activism or in communityism. And why don't you say a few words for us, Norm?
Thank you very much, Karen. It's a pleasure. I'm finishing off my first term as trustee in the district. Very proud to have done that. I was very proud to have worked with Trustee Beleza, a fine person, and worked right trustee you won't find. The original reason that I went into community service at the Board of Education level was because what I and some parents noticed as a lack of programming offerings and choice in the district. And eventually I was convinced by my friends and colleagues I should actually throw my hat in to the race of 2011. I was very happy I was able to succeed. I'm happy to say as well that the district has moved in the right direction with regards to programming. And I would like very much to be part of making sure it continues that direction, and that the students and families of Richmond are able to make choices for what is best for them. Of course, there's other issues as well. There is the issue of the current strike, of course, is a very, very difficult one. Right now, the course is for negotiation and mediation, and that is exactly what we're hoping to happen. I think the practical choice is, do we stay the course with that route, even if it goes into a strike into October? Or do we ask the people, is that the way they want to go, or would they rather ask the government for legislation? I don't know the answer to that question. That's something that I think needs to be explored as well. So let's hope for a very successful election and we can make progress on these issues. Thanks, Carol, very much.
Thanks, Norm. Thank you. And last but certainly not least, Mr. Michael Starchuk, brand new dad and lifelong Richmond resident. He's a member of one of Richmond's pioneer families.
Thanks, Carol. Change is what you hear from all of us, and change is what I want too. But I think it's time to change our mindset as a society. I also believe, and I believe that Richmond can be a leader in that change. I believe the perfect place to start that change is within our schools, with the young people. I have a son who is 3, and I couldn't be more excited about this opportunity to become a true school trustee. For me to be able to ensure that the school system is funded appropriately and facilitators have the tools necessary to grow him and his peers into children or into adults that are positive contributing members of society. My goal is for them all to be intelligent, involved, and have respect for themselves, other people, and the place that they live. And I couldn't be more excited about standing here with these 4 people to achieve those goals. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you very much for those wonderful words. What a great team. And, you know, we're not just running mates, we're actually a family, and we're here to represent you. So thank you for those excellent comments. Standing before you are some community leaders. These are people that have been working behind the scenes and really making a difference. And I'm proud to run with such a high caliber of candidates. So thank you very much. So we've been working in the community for behind the scenes for years, but we'd love to be your elected councillors and your elected trustees, because while we know that we cannot achieve a majority on Richmond City Council and the Board of Education, our purpose is to be active and can create meaningful dialogue and positive change. We will be your eyes and ears and work to ensure fairness for all Richmondites through real representation. It's time for change. We can provide strong advocacy on council and the board, and our community experience is a solid base for work as an elected official. So let us work for you. Please elect us in 2014. And, you know, if you want to know more about us, please come to some of our community events. We're not going to host big fancy forums. We're going to have barbecues and picnics in the park to really make a casual environment, because we think that's how you get to know the people of Richmond. And full disclosure, transparency, honesty, integrity, those are the things that we represent. All of our information is available online at www.riterichmond.ca, and we have digital copies of everything on our platform for any media or people that would like it. So I'll entertain any questions. Does anybody have any questions? Don't be shy.
Carol, you were very close to getting to council last time. Tell me a little bit about that experience and what you're doing differently this time to try to narrow the gap.
Well, thank you very much. Yeah, I was 300 votes short. I finished 9th and 8 councillors were elected. So that was definitely a trip, to say the least. What we're doing differently this time is we have hired Mr. Ramesh Ranjan to help us with communication. And I've gone part-time in my business so I can focus on this full-time. And the other thing is that we all have very clear defined duties. We're a really organized team this time. And we're also committing considerably more funds of our own money to the campaign to allow us to better reach the public. And between that and just meeting with the public and really trying to get out there and knocking on doors, having public events, and we're trying to be, we are going to succeed in being the no rhetoric team. And I believe that's a refreshing message that a lot of people would love to hear, and we mean it. And that's why we are standing by our 100% transparency goal for the electoral financial process, because a lot of people I've spoken to are really disgusted with what's happened in past elections, and we aim to make that better. And so I think that's going to make the difference.
On that note, council hasn't changed a lot over the last 16 years.
Yeah.
Seems to be a suggestion that people like the way that the city's been managed. There don't seem to be a lot of issues out there, or a lot of incumbents and want to be politicians that are going out there and saying, well, this is what this council is doing wrong, and this is what the Board of Education is doing wrong, and that's why you should vote for me versus the people that are in place. What can you say about that? What has City Council done right, and what have they done wrong? And why should they vote for you versus one of the incumbents?
Very good question. One of the things that, let's just go back to June, for example. Richmond City Council voted to endorse staff's report and the plan for replacing the Massey Tunnel. That went in under the radar while a lot of people were on vacation. And our job as candidates elect trying to get on Richmond City Council is to bring those issues to the forefront and explain why that's an issue to the average person. Like, I've been chair of Vapor for almost 4 years, and as soon as I talk to people about the issue, they become passionate about it. So our job as candidates is to demonstrate how Richmond City Council and some of the existing councillors have not done their job. I look back to the pub bylaw, which used to require public surveys. And, people like, Councillor Howard, Bill McNulty, and Keech Kumagai, and Derek Dang voted to take that right away from us. And I bet a lot of people don't know that. So our job is to get those issues out there in the forefront. And we'll be doing that through our website. And again, we're not going to give you a lot of pleasant platitudes and warm and fuzzy comments. What we're going to give you is the truth, accurately and straightforward ways, so that it empowers people to make informed decisions. And one of the big issues is the financial disclosure. I think Mike would like.
I'll say with the question, what has the current council been doing right and what have they been doing wrong? I think it's more of who have they been doing it right for and who have they been doing it wrong for. It's been a developer-driven group, and developer money funds their campaigns, so they get reelected and they keep doing the same thing. And they're not working for the people, the citizens, and that's clear through the frustration I hear when I go to city council meetings. In the last decade, I've attended the majority of council meetings sitting as a member of the public, making presentations and hearing the passionate speeches from other people in the public who don't get a response, who have to walk out of there in frustration, and then read letters to the editor and people not feeling like they're having consultation. It's because council of today and past councils have been busy with closed door meetings with the developers. And that's who it's been going right for and who's been going wrong for.
Another example of that is the Maple Road townhouse complex on number 2 road. I mean, I was there for that particular presentation, and there was at least 100 people from the public who went there passionately talking about why they were opposed to this development, and all they really wanted was realignment of the driveway. I mean, this was not a lot to ask for. They were completely shut down by council, and I'm standing in the atrium of City Hall listening to their frustration, and they asked me, why are you here? You don't live in the neighborhood. And I said, well, this is what I'm passionate about, is that we don't have a voice in City Hall that's being heard. It's the decisions are made, as Michael said, behind closed doors, and I'm done. That's just not fair. People deserve better than that. They just don't know about it, and it's our job to inform them of what has been going on. Because people that write into your newspaper often say the same thing. What are they doing? They're ruining my city. And they blame Richmond City Council for those changes. And the reality is, in cities like Delta, they do a better job of informing the public. And I've had long talks with the planners in the city of Delta, and I'm amazed at the lengths that they go to inform the public about developments well in advance of the development. We're doing a crummy job here in Richmond. We got to change that.
How do you translate the public disdain for whatever may be happening on council or at City Hall into actual votes on November the 15th? Voter turnout's been horrible for years.
Yeah.
Be one of the areas that one of the other political parties is focusing on. Do you think that's important to focus on that, trying to get people to come out and actually vote, whether they vote for you guys or for whoever? How important is that, and how important is it, like I said, to translate that, upset into votes?
Well, in voter turnout has been dismal. It's embarrassing. I mean, it's humiliating to live in a city where there's such little appetite for voting. It's such a simple thing to do. But I attended that meeting from the other group that you're talking about, and as I was standing outside with my vapor table talking about jet fuel in the Fraser, I heard the same thing from people that walked by us, the same old thing. People feel that nobody is listening, and what's the point? And one of the things that I want to do, and I'm sure Michael wants to speak to the issues that he's involved with, is that being involved with vapor has taught me that only by getting involved and informing people can you empower them. And once they know that they can actually do something, they get really passionate, and before you know it, you've got a huge support network, as with the Garden City lands.
And current council, they all simply provide the same voice. And for us to work with such a small population who actually comes out to vote, yes, we should expect more, and yes, we're going to do more. We have more money going into advertisements and using social media like never before in RITE History, and now RITE Richmond will carry that tradition forward into the future, at engaging the youth and providing a voice for those who feel like they're voiceless in the community, and for people who are going to vote on November 15th, to know that they're going to put these 8 councillors or these trustees and this mayor in for a 4-year term. They better hope that there's some critical voices on there, that you don't just put the same slate of rubber stampers in there, that you actually give some critical thought to what you're going to do to Richmond and the potential that this area has for business, for health, for raising families into the future, for having access to affordable housing. Those issues don't get raised by the current council because they don't translate into a lot of votes. They don't translate into funding from developers and corporations. So we're going to work on behalf of the citizens.
Do we need to make it easier for people to vote? Do we need to enact what Australia does, where if you don't vote, you go to jail or something like that?
Yeah,
They got
fine,
some heavy stuff, and it's like 99.9% voter turnout down in Australia. So what do we need to do? And maybe speak to that, and then speak to the issue of you as an educator. You see young kids, they're our future voters. What are they saying in the classrooms? What are our teachers doing to kind of get children to think about politics and government?
Great. You want me to start?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what can be done like in Australia? Well, that's not something we can do within one term. I don't think that it'd be too shocking for the public to go right in and have a serious consequence. But maybe to actually say, yes, it's mandatory that you have to vote. But if you don't vote, then it's okay. We're actually not going to punish you or give you anything like that. But there's the incentive of being part of that first rise in voter turnout. The provincial government should be the one to enable it to happen in schools. They're just doing a curriculum review and drafts have come out. There's no high school unit now that focuses on elections and what the different levels of government do for the students. So when I taught in elementary schools around elections, it's exciting. They put posters up on the wall, they do their class voting, and they're proud, and they represent, and they speak in front of class and learn how to do all that and how it works. But we go to high school and the students don't feel like it's something they should be taught because it's not in the textbook or it's just a few pages and it doesn't actually relate to what's around you in the community. So that's missing from the curriculum. What can be done is if it was, if we had a better funded public education program, then the connection to public health, public service would be, you'd have more richness there to have those community events and have the opportunity for school and students to work intergenerational with the neighbors who live right next door. It's not built, but it has to come from within, it has to come from the city partnership with the Board of Education.
Well, Dr. Norman Goldstein and I attended the MLA Oaks meetings
Yes.
regarding election reform, and some of the things we heard were quite passionate, and yet the end result was somewhat dismal.
Yeah. So the reforms for this time around didn't encompass the financial stuff we were hoping for, the caps. But in the topic of increasing voter turnout, I mean, I agree very much with what Michael was saying about the education. It's very important. We do have to be careful about legislating you have to vote, or entering your name into a draw to win a prize if you vote. Because the important thing is to vote with an informed sense, not just to vote anything at random just to win a prize or because you have to by law. And it's really a really central pillar of our democracy that you know who you're voting for. And so that is where the education comes in. We have to explain more the message that it's not just for your neighbor or for the other person to vote. You really need to put some energy into it, and it has to be a vote which makes sense to you, not just for that you have to do that. So that's what we're trying to aim for. On our website, we have a section on elector education, and we have just facts about how our system works, what we all do, and we're hoping people will get interested once there's more understanding.
Did you want to say something?
Yes. Thank you. Thanks for that question. You know, one of our strategic goals in our platforms is public engagement, community engagement with stakeholders, and even to the extent of raising political action as needed. What it means is people's empowerment. I believe that if you, like an incentive program, if you have an incentive for the people to vote because the public interest is at stake, then they will have reason to vote, to be excited because that involves their future. And that's exactly what we're going to do, because in this impasse, like for example, between the TF and the government, if they won't do anything, except, of course, giving us $40 a day, and the goals of public education is to enrich individuals' potential. You think by giving $40 we will enrich our kids' potential? Definitely not. If this will be prolonged, you know, our public education system is in a big problem. Our kids' future is in a big problem. So what are we going to do? What are the options? Either the parties meet together and agree upon, or we go to the court. Whatever avenue is still a problem for the kids, because they're going to be ending up having no quality public education. So as a student of politics, I think one way in order that we could enhance is to make sure that there's people's power empowerment enhancement, so that the people can decide what is good for the province or what is good for the kids. I think we should reserve to have that kind of balance and check in our political system.
Ron, just a follow-up question for you. As a member of the Filipino community, give us a sense for how members of the Filipino community are in terms of their willingness to be engaged in politics, to go out and vote. I don't know how it might compare to the Philippines, whether everybody in the Philippines vote, if there's low voter turnout there, if there are laws requiring you to vote. Give us a sense, because Richmond has a huge multicultural community, big component of it, and I don't know if that's the reason why our voter turnout is low, is because we have so many new immigrants that are living here. But maybe you could speak on that a little.
Sure, Filipino to be elected in public office in the province of BC. I just opened the door, as I mentioned, to our community, and now they're aware, started to be aware of the political system of this. And it incites and ignites their passions. Like in the Philippines, you know, politics plays a vital role in our political system, in whatever affairs of the government. And I think there are so many parents who talk to me. There are problems in schools. There are problems about underfunding. There are problems about their kids not going to school. This is this is a problem that I think involves them to be a part of the community, to straddle the community, to have a good quality public education. And they are saying, you know, what are we going to do as a community?
Okay.
And I think it starts a new initiative for them to make our community closer and stronger to respond to this kind of problems and making sure that we can resolve this and not to the detriment of our children.
Can I get a question?
Yes, so Carol, I can see you have a quite diverse group, and we were talking about like multicultural like community. So in the past years, like they have some controversial issues like Chinese only signs, and then other like ethnic groups like as well. Like how do you engage all these ethnic groups, and would you want to make a change that kind of issue?
Absolutely. You know, I'm chair of CALMAR, which is a committee against Ling and Mega Retreat. And you would think that that would just be a Caucasian, you know, worried about the temple, but it's not. That is one of those issues that just goes across the board. And I have met with many people of Asian descent, particularly Chinese, that have said it's just too big. Why do they want to build it that big? So I think by engaging people in issues, the Ling and temple expansion is just one of the many issues. We can make people from all different backgrounds understand that your voice is important. And guess what? By having multiple voices from multiple backgrounds and multiple different ethnic groups, our end result is a far better one. And so that's one of the things that we're really trying to do, is to represent all of the people in Richmond, not just the ones that make $5,000 donations to our campaign, not just the ones that you know, are part of the 500 of people that Richmond seem to be run by in various boards. We want to get down to the grassroots and talk with people at all levels. And I think that people, once you engage them, and we certainly saw that when Michael and I were still with the Garden City Lands Conservation Society, when we were informing people, it was often the people right from China, from Hong Kong, that would come up to us and say, what is it they're planning? And we said, well, the city wants to develop half of these 136 acres into high-rise apartments. And they would be like, why would they do that? That's not why I came to this country. I came here because it's open and it's green. I don't want to see that. What can I do? And so through the Garden City Lands for 6, almost 7 years, we had an opportunity to meet with all different groups, things like the Terra Nova Farm and Earth Day, and it was amazing. It went across the ethnic board. Do you want to talk to that?
Yeah, it's spoken on.
Yeah, okay.
There's some additional question in there.
Yeah. So but basically, issues bring people together. Issues unite people. And I've seen that in my neighborhood with dealing with high-density townhouses. I've seen it with the pub that was proposed. I've certainly seen it with the Ling Yin Mountain Temple expansion, which was just so over the top that nobody from multiple groups wanted it. So we can do this, you know, but we have to be willing to listen. And the thing that I don't think it makes any difference whether you're Chinese, Japanese, East Indian, or Filipino, or European. If you go to a public meeting, like Michael was talking about earlier, and you give your heartfelt, you know, response to an issue that's on the table, and you've got butterflies in your stomach, and you're nervous, and you're patted on the head and sent along, that's degrading to anybody of any ethnic background. And that's what unites us. That's what makes us realize that we need change in Richmond. Because when I met with those people from the Maple Road neighborhood, 99% of them were of either Chinese or Hong Kong background, and they didn't understand how they could all get together, go to city council, and be ignored. And it's the same in my neighborhood when we went to city council and we were ignored. And we can make a difference. And that's what we really want to, all of us, I think, are passionate community activists, we're community leaders, we're community volunteers, and we've been out there in the trenches. We're not going to start working for you after November 15th. We've already been working for you. Michael and I have combined 30 years of volunteer work and community work. And what we're finding is the more people ask us questions, we get them excited, we get them motivated, and then they become volunteers. They become interested in various issues, and in the end, that's what's going to change Richmond so that we have a much more unified community.
So regarding the Chinese only sign,
Yeah.
the current council, they decided now to pass a bylaw or make a change. Do you want to make a change if you were elected?
You know, I really thought that was a lost opportunity, you know. When that came to the forefront, and by the way, it was trustee candidate Michael Startuk's mother who led that charge and got all those signatures and made a heartfelt presentation to Richmond City Council. And they voted 8-1 to not even talk about it, to not even study it, not to send it to staff, to be reviewed, to come back, nothing. They killed it. That was a really unwise decision. I would not have voted that way. I would have voted to send that issue to Richmond staff, to study it, to talk to people from all different backgrounds, to find out why is it necessary to have Chinese-only signs in certain stores, and what can we do to include people. Just recently, there was a nursery on Number 5 Road that started advertising in their signs in English and Chinese, and they couldn't believe it. The business was just flowing in through the door, and all it took was a few English signs. I'm a businesswoman, I'm a sign maker. I understand this issue, and I think I can make a real strong contribution to this debate and find logical solutions. And I do want to point out that Aberdeen Mall has a sign bylaw in place in their mall. They require English on all their signs. So maybe Aberdeen Mall management are the people we want to include as stakeholders in this discussion. But first, Richmond City Council's got to vote to at least talk about it. That was a bad day. No questions now.
This same issue came up 3 years ago. It was an all candidates debate. And I'll repeat what I said then. It's a mistake to get into sign laws. I'm from Quebec, and believe me, I know sign laws are not the route to go. So what's the issue? People want to feel at home in their city. It really is a matter of understanding each other. You walk around the city, you want to know what's going on in this store or in that store. I also understand where some businesses may not have the resources to serve people in English. Maybe they're new immigrants, they have clientele who speak Chinese, they can deal with Chinese clientele. If someone in English comes in, they have to hire somebody new. So it's not a simple situation where you just say, do this, do that. But it is a process that we can go through as a community. And believe me, it's well worth it, and people get to know each other better. It's the way to go. Don't legislate.
Can I add something?
Go on.
One of our strategic goals again is to foster a green, inclusive, collaborative environment, a safe environment. And I've been, I guess, a community volunteer. I was the chair of the Richmond Multicultural Concern Society, where we promote, integration, community engagement, in terms of respect and tolerance. I think the main point here is that we are missing community consultation.
Yeah.
The success and the quality of life in every community all over the world stems on the problem of lack of respect, lack of tolerance of the rights of others. I think if we can revisit that, have a community consultation, we have a better result in handling all these kind of problems. And I think we should start from ourselves, having this kind of values in order for our community, Richmond community, to be successful today and in the future.
I'll make just a quick analogy for working in the public school with a class of 30. If there's a language issue, you don't just internally vote, I'm not going to deal with that, because it's just going to get worse, it's just going to fester up. And so when you involve it, when you deal with it and then have the discussion, you don't just discuss with the people who are having the issue, but you have to hear what others are seeing and how they're actually interacting or not interacting with these storefronts or service providers. So again, echoing the word consultation, that is not there.
See, you're getting straight answers. That's what we're all about. We're not going to dance around issues. We're going to tell you what we think, and we have an amazing amount of community experience in us five people, and that's what we offer to the city of Richmond. And if we have the opportunity to meet with as many people as possible, I know we're going to have an amazing election result on November 15th. And it's issues like this that we want to talk about. We're not going to dance around the issues and try to avoid it. We're going to sit down and say, tell me what you think, I'll tell you what I think. Norm's got some information, Rod's got some information, let's banter it about. and find out what our best options are. And that's exactly what we want to do during this election for the next couple of months.
When is your next consultation?
Yeah, everything's on our website, just so you know. Our very first one is Sunday, Sunday, August 24th. It's going to be a barbecue, and everything's free, and there's going to be refreshments and hot dogs and salads and lots of goodies to eat. And what we're hoping to, and it's going to be hosted, the first one is going to be in my home, in my backyard. We're going to make it casual, we're going to make it relaxed, and we encourage people to come and get to know us and ask us the tough questions. You know, I have to say, when I was going for the MLA run a year and a half ago, I went to a couple of schools. I was invited as the candidate in that area, and the toughest questions I got asked were by kids. They would say, what are you going to do about, you know, and they would get to the point, and I loved it because it gave me an opportunity to really think about the issue and think about it from their perspective. So we don't want people to come and just sit and politely nod. We'd like them to talk to us and tell us what they're passionate about and what their concerns are and what they're happy about. I mean, we don't want to just talk about the negative. We want to hear about the things in the city that we're happy about. And we have a plan that we're going to be unveiling later called the Neighborhoods in Richmond Plan, which speaks exactly to that issue about engaging people on a very localized level. So there'll be more about that later. Any other questions from the audience? Anybody want to say anything?
Also, you can get up anytime, grab a juice and
Yeah.
snack there and keep on asking.
Yeah, if you'd like to ask individual questions of any of the candidates or our communications and Mr. Ramesh Ranjan, please go ahead and talk to us, have something to eat, have something to drink, and thank you very much for coming, and thank you for hearing us. And
Maybe we can get a group photo.
yeah, let's do that. Everybody, should we keep?
You will come, please let us know.